One of the new characters that were first introduced in the Star Wars sequel trilogy by director J.J. Abrams was Supreme Leader Snoke, who was originally intended to be the new Emperor, if you will, or the replacement of Darth Sidious, before Sidious was actually able to come back into fruition here for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, after The Last Jedi, a lot of fans were very let down and very upset with how Snoke was killed off so early without telling us his full backstory in, of course, The Last Jedi, and how director Rian Johnson, basically killed him off right then and there in order to advance the character of Kylo Ren into becoming his very own master, and master of the Knights of Ren, and of course of the entire First Order, becoming Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Now, with that being said, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very intense for the character of Supreme Leader Snoke. Now, specifically, shot descriptions consisting of a sequence where it's explained that Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren are said to be traveling to a place called the Dark Spire, where they are in search of a place called the Shrines of the Sith that is said to hold the very depths of the dark side when it comes to its powers. It's explained that here, Kylo meets with an ancient creature called the Forger, who eventually puts his helmet back into one piece before moving on to the shrines. Now, it's said that one of the sequences is said to involve Ren coming across a large statue of his own master that he killed some time ago, Supreme Leader Snoke, where the statue is said to date back hundreds of years ago, where it's explained that Snoke went under many different identities throughout his entire life to take on different personas, where the statue of Snoke in the Shrines of the Sith is said to contain an engraved set of ancient text that translates to the name of Snoke as Rishaw Zadu. It's explained that the ancient Sith text translates to this name from the Forger, who tells Kylo Ren the name of one of Snoke's identities throughout the ages, and that they are currently unaware about who killed Snoke, where the Knights are said to not know the truth and believe Kylo's lie that it was actually Rey who killed Snoke. The statue of Snoke involves him covered in a black robe with a hood over his head, holding an ancient staff of some kind. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, the thing about Snoke's new identity in the Shrines of the Sith location does indeed match up with the previous leaks that we went over, that Snoke went under different identities throughout his life of 800 plus years. He was almost just as old as Yoda was during the events of Return of the Jedi. And what I like about that is that, of course, there's so much to tell about Snoke. The fact that he really is an ancient being, if you will. There is so much to tell about this character in the forms of canon material like books, comics, novels, you name it. Stuff that we really should have learned more about in The Last Jedi that is now going to be touched on by J.J. Abrams in The Rise of Skywalker. So one of Snoke's identities, keep in mind, one of Snoke's identities is actually labeled as Rishaw Zadu. Now, it sounds like a very ancient Sith name. I kind of like the sound of it. It's honestly very sinister in my point of view, at least. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with me, but let me know what you think about that below in the comments. But this is all said to take place in the Shrines of the Sith, right after Kylo Ren gets his helmet fixed, pretty much patched together by the Forger. Now, the Forger is said to be an ancient being. In case you guys did not know, he's 1,000 plus years old. It's a monkey wolf-like creature that actually has been taking over control of the Dark Spire for years on end, where basically he's the dark side version of Maz Kanata in a sense, where he too also has a castle, except it's a dark side oriented castle itself. He puts back together Kylo's helmet, takes him down to the Shrines of the Sith, where Kylo eventually comes across one of Snoke's statues that reveals one of his original identities before he went under the name of Snoke. Now, what I like about this is that, of course, this also tells us that there is a lot of history behind Snoke. There has got to be a reason as to why he went under different identities, of course, more than just how he wanted to go under different personas. Now, we do know that Snoke actually was very obsessive about, how all masters were able to rule over their apprentices and pretty much train them through the ways of the dark side. Snoke was very much an admirer of course, the dark and the Sith ways, of course, that were actually done throughout the Old Republic era, and of course throughout the events of the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. So Snoke has been around for a very, very long time, and judging from what we just saw in the brand new Kylo Ren comic, we learned a little bit more about that Kylo Ren considered Snoke a friend after the new generation of Jedi and Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple was burned down to the ground. That's the only person he could really turn to, and that's exactly why he went down to the dark side of the Force, not just because of the Knights of Ren pretty much, recruiting him, but also because Snoke was considered a friend before Kylo even turned to the dark side. So this was all a part of Snoke's master plan. I mean, in fact, in case you guys haven't read the novelization of Episode 7, you will learn that Snoke was watching over Kylo Ren ever since he was within Leia's womb. Pretty creepy, right? So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.